D.R. Horton, one of the biggest construction companies in the United States. It's up there with Toll Brothers and many others. When you think of like the suburban dream home, you think of like D.R. Horton, right? They go to community, they build like 300 of these little suburban houses and they sell it for like 500 grand, 600 grand, 700 grand. Like these homes are somewhat pretty decent. It's a publicly traded company. They're here to make money. They're here to build homes. They want to make some racks. And now they're facing a huge crunch, which is less profits. Why is there less profits? Well, incentives have increased. Home prices are lowered. And this is what the CFO said. They want to increase affordability. Not really, right? What they really want is make money, but they figured out that, oh crap, we just built way too many homes. And what now? After building this many homes, not a lot of people are buying, because if you look into the real estate market, usually high paying jobs are gonna be the buyers who can afford 300, 400, 500 grand houses. Like if you want to buy a $500,000 suburban home like this one, nothing too fancy. I mean, 500, 600 grand is everywhere in the US. You need a job that pays like 200 or even $300,000 household income, more like 200 grand. But it's still like a very expensive price, right? Considering Americans right now are spending like crazy, car loans are crazy high, and interest rates are still very high. You're not really getting that many buyers who can afford nice homes like these. Many buyers, they can't afford anything over 200 grand. So D.R. Horton's like, oh crap, we can't sell these. Interest rates are still crazy high. What now, right? I guess we could just make a little less. In fact, many home builders have actually stopped building. They're actually facing a lot of competition from the conversion boys, which is coming in. Because when rents go down, housing prices also go down. It's just how things work. And D.R. Horton is also very terrified of the infamous office to apartment conversions. Because if you go to Chicago, if you go to Manhattan, if you go to San Francisco, you see a bunch of empty office buildings. U.S. vacancy levels are heading towards 30%, whether you like it or not. In fact, real estate prices in the office department, in my opinion, is worse than investing in crypto. At least in meme coins, some of them will go up. But commercial real estate, it will never go up. Like, it will never, ever go up. Commercial real estate is by far one of the worst things to buy, and it's a thorn on the side of small regional banks as well. This is why they're buying these buildings and converting them into apartments so they can at least rent them out and make money. So if you look at this year, it has risen to about 55,000 office to apartment conversions, 4 times higher than 12,000 in 2021. And it's set to quadruple and maybe even more in the next 4 to 5 years. This is what a lot of people are saying. I've read some articles about these office conversions, and many cities are offering incentives. That's one. They're making it easier to do the paperwork for conversions. And then lastly, a lot of cities are actually encouraging construction companies to come in, buy empty office buildings for the cheap, and then they'll just turn them into apartments, and the city will go all out for them, even paying for some of their expenses and taxes in other areas. And this is freaking out guys like D.R. Horton, who rely on higher housing prices. When rents get that cheap, you also have a group of buyers who simply don't want to buy. And these buyers just be like, okay, we could buy like this house right here for almost 700 G's. Or could rent in one of those office to apartment conversions, which are still really nice, but you just save so much money. I think a lot of Americans right now have kind of given up hope. In fact, I know some people who have the money to buy a house, but they chose not to because it's just so much of a burden. This is what's happening. And unless these home builders and these sellers will lower prices even more, I don't think a lot of these buyers want to go into the market, considering that very high paying jobs are now being laid off at record numbers. It's pretty freaky. And Denver right now is also nearing like a housing oversupply anyway, and a potential pricing drop is coming its way, with even some big projects in Oakland and Cali literally getting abandoned because the developers know they can't find any tenants. And the tide is turning. Renters are winning, and they're seeing asking rents post the biggest decline in over 3 years. Fantastic. Great news for renters. And also mid vacancies, even South Bay is offering concessions. And it's not just California, guys. Even Salt Lake, Utah, 40% to 50% of the rentals there offer some sort of incentive, from free Starbucks gift cards to 3 months of free rents. Really depends on which location. But in Oakland, for example, which is somewhere in the Bay Area, they actually straight up said that we'll give you 2 to 3 months of free rent if you sign your lease here again. So it's actually pretty nice for renters. And seriously, guys, if you live in big cities, ask around. Chances are you could get a pretty fantastic rental deal. So here's what's happening here. A lot of crazy stuff. D.R. Horton's stock price is diving. And seems like profits are being lower because home prices are dropping like a rock.